Have you ever loved something so much that you just want to make it happen every day? Me neither. This is a podcast a day. For today, 300 and God knows. I actually want to not address. Jesus Christ, I've not like committed any heinous crimes or done anything that needs addressing. But I remember I was talking about Danny Aaron's and his high levels of how he majored in risology. You know, him being with Tennessee, which, remember when H was with Amelia de Moldenberg, I think her name is, and that was like a whole I think they call it publicity stunt or whatever. It's like, I mean, it's actually an insult to Danny Aaron's to just immediately assume it must be a publicity stunt. I'm not saying that, but just like how everyone was obviously saying, oh, Danny, he's worked miracles here. His riz is off the charts. When he was dancing like Mr. Bean, that worked. I mean, put that down in the notes. Must do that in the future. People saying he's punching and that, and it's like it got me thinking. Now I know comparing like Danny Aaron's and the position he's in his career to people like Beyonce, Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift. You could argue it's kind of crazy comparing Danny Aaron's to that, but I just mean, like, just on a broader spectrum here, it kind of got me thinking. And I know I mentioned this already, but I just wanted to say it in a more concise way than I did the other day, which is that it's either one of two things. Is what I'm trying to say. Is the reason that people always see famous relationships and they always think the guy is punching is either because most people giving their opinions are men, and therefore the beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and they just don't have the eye because they're just not attracted, and they're naturally always going to think the guy's punching, obviously. Or if women just are in this sense nicer, maybe, and they just sort of see personality more, maybe, because like you look at like some of the most successful geezers in the world in whatever field they're in, music or football or whatever, they're always going to have some model on their arm. They're always going to have some, like, oh, that's the way it seems, or they're always going to want someone else, maybe another sports person, but they're gonna have, let's just say it, they're gonna want like an 8 or above on their arm. That's just kind of how you see it with like people as soon as they get like fame or money or in a kind of position. But then you see the women, and that doesn't really happen as much. If you think of like Beyonce and like Jay-Z, most people would say Jay-Z's punching. I don't want Jay-Z to shoot me in the head. I don't know if he gets up to that. I actually don't know much about Jay-Z. Ariana Grande and obviously Pete Davidson. She's now that guy she's literally dating SpongeBob right now. Wreck to home to date SpongeBob. Played SpongeBob. I don't know that man. Taylor Swift was with. Now she's with Travis Kelce. But she was with Matty Healy. It just seems more like. Or on the flip side, is it just men have better riz? Oh, I hate that I just said that. Okay, let's stop saying riz and let's move on, shall we? I just need to say that again for a clip. Really, that's the only reason I said it. It's because the first time I didn't say anything concise enough that I could clip it easily, so I just basically had to say it again and clip it. Little peek behind the curtain there for the people on the actual POD. Is saying POD cringe? Should I stop doing that? I don't know if I'm old enough yet, or I'm at a point yet where saying is that an abbreviation? An abbrev? That's an abbrev of an abbrev, or is that an acronym? I could really figure out if I used my brain, but that would require steam to come out of my ears and me to like sit here and like squint and like try for a couple seconds. I'll just leave it. Okay, I just want to get this out of the way real quick because it's not interesting and it's football related, and I just kind of want to say it. But like, Eric Dyers just went to Bayern Munich for like 3 million, and it's like, I don't think Eric Dyer's dog shirts. I actually think he's like similar to Maguire. He's just all right. He could play in the Prem he could play in the Prem. I don't think Maguire's amazing. I don't think Dyer's amazing. People that like Maguire is probably a little better than Dyer, but like his name suggests, I don't actually think he is a Dyer. It's just, playing at Tottenham, you get found out a couple of times, but he's a decent centre-back. He's an old sort of centre-back. He'll get a slab on it too, and whatever. But, the way he's looked at, you know what I mean? Whatever. He's not getting at Spurs, and you could argue he wouldn't get in that many teams, arguably in the top six or just outside of. But one man's trash is another man's treasure, and no time has that ever been more accurate than with Bayern Munich, because Bayern Munich are little like they're like little upscalers. Is that the word? They're little like doer uppers. They love a little fixer up job. They love a project build. They're like 60-minute makeover. They love a little like art. When you see people like take a wooden chair out of a scrap heap and then they do it up all, it's all Art Deco, and they like paint it, and they're painting it with like the PVA glue and shit, and then they're sticking shit on. It's like all these little flowers inside this little um it's just this whole thing. Um what's the word I'm looking for? Not camouflage, um collage kind of dealio to it. They just love it. They just love the builds. They love the project. They're kind of like they're like the girl in the movie. It's like he's right there and he's getting good grades, and he's like asking to take you to the prom, but then there is this character, and he's like high on meth, and he's barely in school half the time, and he looks maybe a little homeless, and he's like, he's got scars visibly from the fights he's been in, and she just loves the project, and that's where she goes, like in the classic sort of Netflix style kids drama or whatever. What I'm trying to say is that's Bayern Munich. Eric, how do you say his name? Eric Choupo-Moting. Remember him? Right? That little project they took on from, like, where was he playing before that? Like Stoke? You know? He's been there for like 4 years now. And like he gets minutes. He's been playing like on average 20 games a season. I think I got his stats here. I mean, pull them up real quick. 2022-2023 season, he played 19 games, got 10 goals, 2 assists. He's not even doing that bad. Other seasons, okay, sure. 22 games, 3 goals. But like he's been coming off the bench. He's happy to do it. He's at Bayern. He's having a decent time. He's collecting trophies all while this is happening, more than Harry Kane has. He went from like Stoke or wherever he was, and then Bayern are just like, sure, we'll take him. And it's just crazy because it's like, why him? If I'm like Tom Davies, or I'm like Jack Butland, or I'm like Joe Allen, or I'm like Max Aarons. I think Max Aarons is a perfect shout for someone. It's like I went down. I got relegated with Norwich. I went down to the Championship. I'm screaming out just for anyone, even a team who's going to be fighting relegation next season, just to take me, just to get back in the Premier League. Someone signed me. And it's like, everyone says Max Aarons is decent. I actually haven't got an opinion if he's good or bad. I haven't really seen him play enough. But it's like, he's still down there now, I think, with Norwich. No one signed him. And then it's like, why him? You're screaming out, where's my shooting star? Where's my second chance? Make a wish. Who did Choupo-Moting sleep with to get this move? Like, who did Eric Dyer? You know what I mean? What photos has he got of Thomas Tuchel on compromising positions? Like, Max Aarons is probably like, just sign me, take me now. I'm in the Championship. I'd love to be in Bayern Munich, just picking up trophies. Remember when Hudson-Odoi was linked to Bayern Munich for 60 million? That's kind of different in the sense he was actually like hot shit kind of at the time. I say hot shit, he's only ever scored like in his whole career like 5 goals in the Premier League or whatever. But I mean, like, he was more of like a prospect. He still is kind of a prospect. He could sort of switch things up still. But I mean, just the sense that sometimes Bayern Munich just do these deals where it's like, we'll just take this guy from this. And I get it, it's just like, it's probably more, not that like, because the easy thing is, the German league's just shit. So Eric Dyer in the German league is like fucking... He's like fucking Van Dijk, Van Dizzy. It's more probably just like a lot of these other leagues just have less money than the Premier League. So like it's a scaling issue. It's like, they'll sign youth players there because they just need an option for under like 6 mil, and Dyer will do it. And he's like on paper actually quite competent and will do a decent job. So it's probably like a money thing, but they'll just sometimes go for these deals. And like Choupo-Moting's actually got like 7 games, 4 goals in the Champions League in one season. Other season again, 7 games, 4 goals in Champions League. Like, they did a decent job. It's like, and if you actually look at Bayern Munich's team, I don't know if it's like this now, but a couple of years back, I remember seeing this like Instagram. They've actually got like a bit of a I don't know if it actually is Moneyball. It's just the kind of the movie everyone goes to as an example. But a Moneyball situation going on where it's like, this guy's from the academy. This guy they signed for 3 million. This guy they signed for 7 million. This guy's from the academy. This guy's and they actually had a decent team on paper. Like Bayern Munich, I know they're in like what people would call a bit of a boring league. A bit they win every year. It seems easy and stuff, and then you think maybe they are just shit. They're in a shitty league, but then you play them in the Champions League and note they actually are good. Coming up against all the other best teams in the world, and it's like they're doing it on like, or at least when I saw this picture, which was like maybe years ago, I don't know, on a decent enough budget. Like maybe they should get a bit more credit when you compare it as well as like PSG. Like Bayern won the Champions League not long ago, right, against PSG, and then PSG, a similar team in league, comparison to Bayern, but they spend so much more money and like they just don't do it. They're just not as good, kind of, and they're just not as impressive, and they just ain't really got it. So you gotta give Bayern some credit, you know. I mean, I'm not sure what PSG's signings are looking like. Maybe they are. They have got a couple signings in there where it's just like, really, him. But I mean, probably all these teams do. Like, Barcelona have made some signings. I can't think of any like right now on the same level of like Dyer and Moting, but like, where you go, really, Barcelona? I mean, kind of not really the same, but kind of like signing Marcos Alonso. You could kind of chuck in there as one. What was that guy called? I can see his face. I can't say his name. Like a winger. I can't remember. But just some of these kind of players. Anyway, that was way longer than I wanted to spend on that, but it took up my mind. Final thing. Stranger Things season 5 has just started filming, and they're posting all these photos of them at like the first table read or whatever, and like first day on set, and even all the photos have like a cool filter over it, and they all just look cool. And it's like Stranger Things is such a vibe. I don't care if people don't like Stranger Things. I like Stranger Things. I think the music in Stranger Things is great. I think it's just got like the aesthetic down to like a T, and like I think it's just really good. You want me to rank the seasons? Okay, I'll do it for you real quick. Sure, this isn't what I wanted to talk about, but I will. I will say. I mean, obviously, season 2 is last. We don't need to explain that. Then it gets tricky because I think season 3 is better than season 1. But like season 1 is this anomaly of a season where it doesn't feel like any of the other seasons. Like the vibe of the show, like the wondrousness is so different. Like it almost looks like, how you watch Harry Potter films and like they went through different eras. Like the first 2 were like Christopher Columbus, and then they had I can't remember his name, but for the third one. And they had like David Yates at some point. And he took, I think, the final ones, and they had like different people. And it's like you can like, especially from the first 2 to the third one, it's like, whoa, big tonal shift here. You kind of feel that in Stranger Things. It's almost like they had like a different director or something for like that whole first season, and then they just switched from season 2 to now. I don't think it got worse or better, but it was just so different. I kind of like what they had. Like it was very grounded. Like it looked just very different, like of a show. When I went back to like see scenes of it and stuff. But I do think, and obviously that was the start of it, so it was just kind of cool. And there was all the youngest in that, and it was just like, it was, it had wondrous moments of the Christmas lights and that. And obviously it was new at the time. But season 3, at what it's doing, is just doing so well. I think it's very easy if you love season 1, you'd hate season 3, and maybe vice versa. I'll probably say season 1 next. It just feels bad putting season 1 that low down. I don't like it. Then I would go season 3, and then I would go season 4. I think season 4 is the best. It's a bit long. You could trim the fat in some sections, but hey, we were running up that hill, man. That was crazy. So yeah, we'll go season 4 as the best. And I think season 5 will probably be up there in the top 3 at least. Because it's an ending, it can be hard to wrap up endings without it being too fan servicey. Can you even have fan service in a show like this where it's not even going that long, but callbacky and too cute in a way? It's like Endgame. It's like it's fan servicey and it's cute and it's callbacky, and it's like it's one of those things. It's like a lot of the time, either you don't end it well, Game of Thrones or something, and you make the wrong decisions, or you end it well for a first time watch. Not that I watch things more than once really, but for a first time watch, but then in reflection, it's like and Infinity War's the way better film than Endgame. Like in reflection, by the time you're like, oh my god, he's got the hammer in his, he's gets the hammer, type thing. So I look forward to it. They just started filming that, so. Oh, by the way, this is a tangent, but the whole like joke that I can't even remember her name. I want to say Ayo Adibiri. The girl from the woman from the bear. I'm not gonna Google it because I'm gonna have to use my left hand and it's just gonna take me too long and it's gonna be long. But yeah, her, she in an interview once, she like did an Irish accent and she was like, I lived in Ireland for 4 months or whatever, and it's just this joke that for some reason film Twitter just keeps putting on my timeline, just making jokes, which is all just the same thing of, oh my god, like my four favorite Irish actors, and then she'll be one of the pictures in there, and it's just like this. It's like none of them are funny, or like it was probably a cute little joke at one point, but I've been seeing the same joke on my timeline for months. It feels like now, and like it's never expanding, and it's just the same base level thing. And I just got to vent that out there real quick because that's just been on my timeline for so long. But anyway, no, I brought the Stranger Things thing because I saw people saying, because you know how like Noah Schnapp is like mildly problematic at the moment, and like that's kind of funny because he was already a character that people dunked on in the show just for like his haircut and being Schnapp, and his name is Schnapp, and now I'm sure that's going to be even more so. And it's lined up perfectly with him being mildly problematic. And I remember them saying last season that Schnapp wasn't in it that much, but he's going to be like the main player in the final season. So it's like stars align. You know what I mean? And people were saying like how he just has the vibe that him and like and some other character, probably not another one of the main cast, but like another character or something. They'll have like a Stranger Things podcast in like 15 years from now. In the same way we've seen with like Wizard of Waverly Place with a couple of the side characters and what's the other one? Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, where they just talk about the show and like, oh yeah, we did the show. And remember when we was on it? Oh, do you remember that time in between set when we, you know, and he'll be doing that like, oh, do you remember? I remember actually it was crazy. When I used to film. We was on Stranger Things. Well, they'd be old now. Yeah, we was on Stranger Things. And I remember filming, and Finn Wolfhard was there because I used to know him, and we used to act on Stranger Things together. And he used to only drink out of straws. Isn't that funny? A little bit of insight, a little bit of behind the scenes of Stranger Things. The show I used to be on when I was young, when I was a young little schnapper. And it's like it's so true. You just really do get that vibe. And those podcasts where it's kind of sad. Because I wonder if like Selena Gomez or like the main cast will ever look at those and go, oh, I wonder what my friend's doing who I used to film this with is doing now. And it's like it's not that they even need to be massively successful or winning awards or doing anything. Even if they were just like working now as a teacher or something or doing something completely different. It's like, oh, what are they doing now? Oh, they're still 20 years later and they're still talking about that thing I did with them 20 years ago. Okay, it's just kind of, it's whatever. But yeah, it's way too hot. I need to crack a window. I feel like I'm overheating. I feel like I've got a woolly jumper on and a hat as if I'm in the Arctic, and the heating's probably on, and I'm wondering why it's too hot. But I'll sort it.